The rain fell in heavy sheets, washing the empty streets in silver light. James stood alone at the edge of the graveyard, his coat soaked and his hands trembling slightly. The wind howled through the broken trees, carrying a chill that seemed to reach into his very bones. Before him lay a fresh grave, simple and unadorned. With only a small plaque that read her name, Ilara, he knelt slowly, placing his hand on the cold, wet soil. Memories flooding his mind like a storm he could not escape. He remembered her laughter, her gentle touch, the way she would tilt her head when she was thinking. Every moment now felt like a cruel reminder of what he had lost. He took a deep breath, fighting the lump in his throat. I have to say goodbye, he whispered, his voice nearly drowned by the rain. James closed his eyes, imagining her standing beside him, alive and smiling. But every time he did, the pain of her absence struck him harder. He had searched for her for weeks, traveled across planets and space stations, only to find that she was gone, or so everyone had told him. The official reports, the witnesses, the evidence, they all pointed to the same truth. She was dead, yet in his heart he could not believe it. He touched the small plaque, tracing the letters with his fingers. Ilara, he said softly, I will never forget you. A flash of lightning lit the sky, and for a moment James felt a strange warmth on his shoulder. A touch so light, so real, that it made his heart skip. He froze, every muscle in his body stiff. Slowly, cautiously, he turned, but the grave was empty. The wind whipped past him, and the rain fell harder, yet the feeling remained, a soft, trembling pressure, as if someone was really there. James's breath caught in his chest, his mind racing. Could it be? Could she be alive? Possible, he told himself. Yet the touch was undeniable. He turned again, searching the shadows between the trees, the dark corners of the graveyard, but no one was there. Only the sound of the storm and the distant echo of thunder. He took a step forward, his heart pounding, and then, just behind him, a whisper, James. The voice was faint, barely more than a breath. Yet it carried every ounce of emotion he remembered. Fear, hope, love, all tangled together. He spun around, and there she was, her eyes wide and wet, her body shivering, but she was alive, alive, and looking at him with the same expression he had seen in his dreams. She reached out her hand, trembling, and touched his shoulder, the same shoulder that had felt her ghostly presence moments before. James could not move, could not speak, his mind struggling to accept what his eyes showed. Ilara. He finally managed to say, his voice breaking. She nodded slightly, a tear sliding down her cheek, and James realized that her survival was no accident, no miracle. It was something more, something dangerous, something that had kept her hidden. Until now, the rain fell harder, soaking them both, yet they did not care. The storm around them seemed to fade, leaving only the impossible truth between them. She was alive, and she had come back to him. But James knew, in the pit of his stomach, that this was only the beginning. Whatever had taken her, whatever had kept her away, was still out there. Watching, waiting, he took her hand gently, feeling the cold tremble of her fingers. Tell me everything, he whispered. How did you survive? She looked at him with eyes full of secrets, full of fear, and full of hope. There is no time, she said. We need to go. Before they find us, James nodded, understanding immediately. The final goodbye at her grave had not been an end. It was the start of something far bigger, something far more dangerous. And as they disappeared into the night rain mixing with the tears on their faces, James knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The woman he thought he had lost was alive, and now, together, they would face whatever came next. The night was thick with fog as James and Ilara moved cautiously through the deserted streets. The rain from earlier had left puddles that reflected the dim lights of the ruined city. Every step they took echoed softly, but James could feel the weight of danger pressing close behind them. The storm had passed, but something far worse was waiting. Elara walked slightly ahead, her eyes scanning every shadow. Her body tense as if every nerve expected an attack. James followed silently, still trying to process the impossible truth she was alive, breathing, and trembling, yet somehow stronger than he remembered. Her presence filled him with relief and fear at the same time. I thought you were dead," James said finally, his voice breaking the silence. The words sounded foolish even to him, but he could not stop them. Elara shook her head, a faint smile brushing her lips. "I should be," she whispered, "but I am not. Not yet." Her voice was soft, almost lost in the fog, yet it carried urgency, fear, and a hidden strength. She paused by an old building, pressing her back against the cold wall. "We cannot stay here, James. They will find us soon." James glanced around. The streets were empty, but he felt it too. A presence, faint and cold, like someone or something watching their every move. He had felt danger before, during battles and missions, but this was different. It was personal, deliberate, and invisible. "What do you mean, they?" he asked cautiously, keeping his hand near the small weapon he carried. Though he hoped he would not need it, Elara's eyes darkened. "I cannot explain everything now. But they are not human, not entirely, and they have been hunting me since the day I disappeared, since the day they tried to erase me completely." Her voice trembled slightly, but there was fire in it. A determination James had never seen before he could respond. A sudden movement caught his Aja's shadow darted across the alley ahead, too fast to be human, too silent to be natural. James grabbed Elara's arm, pulling her down behind the wall, their hearts pounding in sync. The shadow passed, leaving only a chilling silence behind. "They are close," Elara whispered, pressing her forehead to his shoulder for a moment, as if grounding herself. James could feel her fear mixing with the warmth of her touch, and a strange feeling passed through him, stronger than relief, stronger than love. It was instinct, survival, and connection all at once. James nodded. "Then we keep moving." "No matter what," he said, trying to steady his own fear. But inside, his mind was racing, trying to figure out who or what they were. And how they had managed to keep her alive, hidden for so long. They turned into a narrow street, overgrown with weeds and debris. The buildings leaned dangerously, some crumbling entirely. Yet it offered cover, a place to hide for a moment, to breathe, to plan their next step. Elara pressed her hand to a small panel on the wall, and a section of the building slid open silently, revealing a narrow corridor, dark and musty. "This way," she said, her voice low, and they stepped inside. The corridor closing behind them with a faint click. James exhaled slowly, trying to calm his racing heart. "Why did you not come back sooner?" he asked, unable to stop the question. Elara's eyes filled with pain. "I could not. I was trapped, and if I tried to return too soon, they would have killed you. Or worse," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "Everything you knew about my death was a lie, a story to keep you away while I survived." James stared at her, the weight of her words settling over him, the anger, confusion, relief, and fear all mingling in a storm as intense as the one that had passed earlier. Who are they?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. Elara shook her head. "I cannot say yet, James. But they are everywhere, watching, waiting for me to slip, to make one mistake, and then—" She trailed off, shivering. "Then it will be over for both of us." A sudden sound, a soft, mechanical whir made them both freeze. James instinctively reached for Elara, pulling her close, and at that exact moment, a faint touch brushed his shoulder, light, almost like a feather, but enough to make his blood run cold. He looked at her, heart pounding. Did you feel that? He whispered. Alara nodded, eyes wide with alarm. Yes, they are here. Closer than we thought, she said, her fingers tightening on his arm, pulling him down the corridor, deeper into the shadows, the unknown pressing around them like a living thing. James realized in that moment that this was only the beginning. The touch, the shadow, the presence, they were signs of something far greater, far more dangerous than anything he had faced before. And yet, he knew he would not let go. Not now, not ever. As they disappeared into the darkness, the faint light of the city flickered behind them. And the night seemed to hold its breath, waiting. Watching as to humans, one not entirely human, perhaps prepared to face a danger neither fully understood. The corridor they had entered was narrow, dark, and smelled of damp metal and dust. James followed closely behind Alara, his heart still racing from the touch, the shadow. The unknown presence that had brushed against him, every sound echoed. Strangely in the confined space, making the tension almost unbearable. Alara moved ahead with careful steps, her eyes scanning the walls, tracing hidden markings, symbols he did not understand. James noticed that the walls were not ordinary concrete, but embedded with circuits and strange lights that pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat, a rhythm that seemed almost alive. James? She whispered, glancing back at him, her voice tense but urgent. What I'm about to show you. It is not safe, even here. He nodded, gripping her hand for reassurance. Though he could feel her fear, her hesitation, and yet there was determination in her eyes. A promise that she would not let danger win. They turned a corner, and suddenly, the corridor opened into a hidden chamber. Faint blue lights floated along the walls, illuminating alien technology unlike anything James had ever seen. Panels with symbols that moved, holographic screens flickering, displaying maps of stars, planets, and ships moving across them. He stepped closer, awe and fear mixing inside him. This is yours, James asked, his voice low, barely believing what he was seeing. Alara shook her head. Not mine. Yet, it is the remnants of their control, their reach into every world. Every city, every mind they can touch, she said, tracing a hand along a panel that hummed softly. I was hidden here for a reason. James, kept alive in a place where they thought no one would find me. James frowned, trying to process it. Who are they really? He asked, glancing around, every shadow now seeming alive. Every hum of the machines a warning. Alara's eyes darkened, her voice barely above a whisper. They are not all human, James, at least not entirely. They blend with machines, with powers beyond imagination, and they hunt those who do not belong. Those who have the potential to resist. She paused, looking at him intently. I have abilities they cannot understand fully, and that is why they want me gone, erased. Completely. James swallowed hard, his mind spinning. Abilities? He asked cautiously, still unsure if he understood her. She nodded. A faint glow flickering around her fingers as she demonstrated a small movement, a pulse of energy that made the machines respond. Flicker and hum louder. I can manipulate certain energies, certain systems, sometimes even life itself. But it drains me. It is dangerous. And if I am not careful, it could destroy me, or worse, draw them here. James stepped closer, a mix of awe and fear gripping him. Then we need to find a way to stop them, to protect you. Protect us, he said firmly. Though inside he felt powerless against a threat he could barely imagine. Alara's gaze softened slightly, but remained serious. It is not that simple, James. They are everywhere, watching, planning, and waiting. For a mistake, she looked down at a small holographic map. A blinking dot moving rapidly closer to their position. They are closer than I thought. Suddenly, the chamber shivered. A low hum resonated through the floor, walls, and ceiling. And James could feel the building itself responding to something unseen. He grabbed Elara's hand instinctively. "What is happening?" He shouted over the noise. "They found a trace of me," Elara said urgently, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "They are here." "James, we cannot stay. Not now." She led him toward a smaller door at the back of the chamber, one that opened into a narrow shaft filled with glowing conduits, cables running along the walls like veins. James followed, feeling the hum of energy all around him, the strange pulse reacting to Elara's presence, as if the building itself recognized her. Guiding them forward, he had never seen anything like it, and yet he trusted her completely. Knowing that she had survived this long for a reason, they emerged into a hidden alley above the city, the fog wrapping around them like a protective cloak. James could hear distant sounds, faint mechanical whirring, almost like wings or gears moving at impossible speed. "They are adapting," Elara said, her eyes scanning the darkness. "They are learning where I am, tracking me faster than I expected." She took a deep breath. "I need to tell you the truth, James. About why I disappeared, about what they wanted from me and what I have become." James looked at her, his heart pounding. "I am ready," he said, gripping her hands tightly, the weight of everything pressing down on him. The danger, the mystery, the impossible technology, yet he felt a strange calm, a sense of purpose. Knowing that whatever came next, they would face it together. Elara nodded, tears mingling with the rain and fog around them. "Long ago, before I met you, they experimented on my people, my family, altering us, blending technology and biology, creating what they called perfect beings to control worlds, to dominate entire civilizations." Her voice trembled slightly. "I escaped. But they never forgot me, never stopped hunting me, and now they will not rest until I am gone." James felt a chill run through him, the weight of her words settling in his mind. The danger was larger than he imagined, the stakes higher than he could comprehend, yet in that moment, he knew one thing. Clearly, he would not leave her side. Not now, not ever. The city around them seemed quiet. But James knew better. He felt the presence, the watching, the waiting. And he realized that the secrets between worlds were only beginning to reveal themselves. And the next step would be the most dangerous of all. The fog hung low over the city, wrapping the streets in a thick, eerie silence. James and Elara moved quickly, their feet splashing through shallow puddles, the air tense with danger. Every shadow seemed alive, every sound amplified, making them both jump at the slightest noise. "They are close," Elara whispered, glancing over her shoulder, her fingers gripping James's arm tightly. "I can feel them tracking us, even now." James's heart pounded, adrenaline surging through him. "Then we keep moving, no matter what," he said firmly, though the weight of the unknown pressed heavily on him. The buildings around them were old and crumbling, perfect for hiding, but also perfect for an ambush. As they rounded a corner, a low humming sound filled the alley, vibrating through the ground and their bones. James froze for a moment, listening, his instincts screaming danger. "They found us," he muttered under his breath. Elara nodded, her eyes narrowing. "Not all of them, but a scout. Something small, fast, relentless," she whispered, then ran ahead, leading him down a narrow passageway that twisted and turned unpredictably. James followed, trying to match her pace. Yet his mind was racing, imagining the creature that might be following them. He had faced dangers before, but never something invisible, mechanical, and intelligent at the same time. Suddenly, a flash of movement caught James's eye, a metallic glint darting across the wall, and in a heartbeat, a small, spider-like machine dropped from above, its legs clicking against the stone, red sensors glowing, scanning, hunting, jump. Ilara shouted, grabbing his arm and pulling him into a side doorway. Narrowly avoiding the scout, it skittered past, spinning and twisting with unnatural speed, its sensors glowing brighter as if angry at their escape. James's heart raced, the world narrowing down to survival. He could feel his pulse in his throat, every sense alert, every muscle ready. "How many of them are out there?" he asked, breathless. Ilara shook her head. "Too many to count. And they are learning, adapting to every move we make," she said, leading him through a series of tunnels beneath the city, the walls lined with strange, glowing conduits that pulsed with energy. Reacting to her presence, guiding them deeper, the tunnels opened into a vast chamber, the ceiling lost in shadows, lights flickering sporadically. Casting eerie patterns on the walls, James looked around, trying to make sense of it. "Where are we?" he asked, his voice echoing slightly. Ilara's eyes scanned the chamber, focused, calculating. "A safe zone for now, but only for a moment," she said, moving to a control panel on the wall, her fingers flying across the surface, manipulating the glowing symbols, opening hidden pathways, sealing doors, creating traps. James watched her, amazed and terrified. "You're controlling all of this?" he asked, the realization hitting him that she was not just a survivor. She was powerful, more than he had imagined. Ilara nodded, her eyes intense. "I can manipulate certain systems, certain energies, but it drains me," she said, glancing at him, "and if I push too far, I could collapse this entire chamber. Or worse, draw them here." Before James could respond, a loud crash echoed from above, the ceiling shuddering slightly. Dust falling around them, the scout machines had found the entrance, and more were coming, faster, smarter, adapting. "Ilara, we need to move," James shouted, pulling her toward a narrow tunnel that led upward, toward the city streets. She hesitated, then nodded. "Follow me, and stay close. They are fast. But I know the ways they cannot reach." She led him through a maze of corridors, twisting back and forth, ducking under beams, sliding past obstacles, their breathing loud, hearts pounding. A sudden swarm of small machines dropped from the ceiling ahead, blocking their path. James instinctively pulled Ilara back, but she stepped forward, her hands glowing faintly, energy pulsing out. The machines twisted, sparks flying, some collapsing. As if hit by an invisible force, James's jaw dropped. "How?" he asked, but there was no time to question. More machines were coming, the chamber shaking as they advanced. Ilara grabbed his hand, pulling him along a side passage. "We must reach the surface, now," she shouted, her voice filled with urgency, fear, and determination. As they climbed the stairs, James realized something he had never felt before. The danger, the fear, the unknown was tempered by trust, by connection, by the certainty that Ilara would not let him die and that he would not let her. They reached the street above, gasping for air, rain beginning to fall again, washing the city in silver light, the fog thick, the night alive with danger. They ran, side by side, through empty streets, dodging shadows and skittering sounds, knowing that the chase had only begun, and that every step forward brought them closer to a truth more dangerous than either of them could imagine. The rain fell harder now, turning the empty streets into rivers of shimmering reflections. James and Ilara ran, their shoes slapping against the wet pavement, hearts pounding in sync with the storm. Every shadow seemed alive, every whisper of wind a threat. "We need to find shelter," James panted, glancing around. The city felt different at night, dangerous, silent, yet watching. "We cannot keep running in the open like this." Ilara nodded, her eyes scanning the rooftops and alleys. "There is a place, not far, hidden, where I can rest, where they cannot sense me as easily," she said, leading him through narrow passages, her steps sure despite the chaos as they entered a hidden courtyard. Surrounded by crumbling buildings, Elara stopped. Her hand pressed against a rusted door, her glowing fingers tracing an intricate pattern on the metal. The lock clicked, and the door swung open, revealing a small room filled with faint, pulsating light. James stepped inside cautiously, looking around. "This is safe?" he asked, his voice low, almost a whisper. "For now," Elara said, moving to a corner where a small console hummed softly. "I have kept this place hidden for years, a secret room connected to systems they cannot reach, at least not without." "Great effort," she paused, her eyes meeting his. "There is something I must show you. Something I never told anyone." James's curiosity mixed with fear. "What is it?" he asked, stepping closer, his heart beating faster. Elara took a deep breath, her fingers hovering over the console. "Long ago, before they hunted me, before I met you, I discovered a truth about them, about their plans," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "They are not just experimenting on my people. They are controlling entire worlds, creating armies of modified beings, machines blended with life to dominate civilizations." James felt a chill run through him. "And you knew this all along?" he asked, his mind struggling to process it. Elara nodded, her eyes dark with memories. "I knew, but I was powerless to stop them until now. Until I found you," she said, tracing a hand over a glowing map. "I have records, hidden, encrypted, showing every world they touched, every life they altered, every plan they made for conquest." James leaned closer, trying to see his mind racing. "Why show me this now?" he asked, his voice urgent. "Are we ready to fight them?" Elara looked at him, her gaze steady but serious. "We have no choice, James. They will not stop. Not until they erase me completely and anyone who helps me." She paused, then whispered, "Including you." James's stomach turned, the weight of her words settling in. "Then we fight," he said firmly. Determination replacing fear. "We find a way to stop them. Together." Elara smiled faintly, a mix of relief and worry. "There is one more thing. One secret I have kept from you. Something about myself," she said, her hands glowing faintly as she opened a small compartment in the wall, revealing a device, sleek and alien, pulsating with light. James stepped closer, peering at it. "What is that?" he asked, awe and fear mingling in his voice. "This is a core, a fragment of their power. Something I escaped with long ago," Elara said, her eyes serious. "It holds knowledge, energy, and abilities beyond imagination, but it is dangerous. It could destroy me, or save us." James reached out, hesitant. "Can we use it?" he asked, feeling the hum of energy from the device, the room vibrating slightly with its power. Elara shook her head. "Not fully. I need time to understand it, to control it, and they are closing in," she said, glancing at the faint blue lights outside, scanning, searching for her presence. "This is why I hid, why I ran, why I survived. To reach this moment, to prepare for what is coming." James felt a mix of awe and fear, the responsibility of everything pressing down on him. "Then we do it together," he said, gripping her hand. The warmth, a small comfort against the storm outside. Elara nodded, her gaze softening. "I trust you, James, more than anyone could. And that is why I am showing you this," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "But there is something else. Something I feared to tell anyone." James looked at her, heart pounding. "Tell me," he urged, knowing that whatever it was, they needed honesty now more than ever. Elara took a deep breath, her fingers hovering over the device. "I am not entirely what I seem. I have been altered, like my people, but different, and they are searching for the key within me." A key that could destroy or save countless lives, she whispered, her eyes locking with his. If they find me before we are ready, everything we fight for will be lost. James felt a shiver run through him, the weight of her secret settling in, but also a fierce determination. Then we make sure they never find you first, he said firmly, no matter what it takes outside. The storm raged on, lightning flashing across the city. Rain pounding the rooftops, and the faint hum of alien machines could be heard. Adapting, hunting, relentless, inside the hidden room, James and Alara stood together, surrounded by secrets, technology, and danger, knowing that the next steps they took would change everything, revealing truths that could either save the worlds or destroy them, and in that moment, they made a silent promise to each other. To survive, to fight, and to uncover the hidden truth before it was too late. The hidden room was quiet now, save for the hum of the alien device, its pulsating light casting strange shadows on the walls. James stood beside Ilara, their hands still intertwined, the weight of what she had revealed pressing down on them both. "We can't stay here much longer," James whispered, glancing at the faint glow from the broken windows, the rain outside. A constant reminder that the city beyond was still alive, dangerous, and watching. Alara nodded, her eyes scanning the room, her fingers brushing over the device's surface. "I know, but we need to prepare, James. This is the moment we decide how we fight. And who we can trust," she said, her voice steady but laced with worry. James frowned. "Trust? After all we've been through, who can we trust?" he asked, his mind racing, the faces of allies and enemies blurring together. Even those who claimed to help could be working against us. Ilara's gaze hardened. "Exactly. And that is why I kept secrets, even from you, James." "Sometimes the enemy is not outside, it is within," she said, glancing at him with intensity. "And sometimes the enemy wears a friendly face." James's stomach tightened, the words sending a shiver through him. "You mean someone we know?" he asked, heart pounding, the room feeling smaller, the shadows deeper. "Yes," Alara said softly, her eyes fixed on the glowing map. "There is someone close, someone who helped me before, but now they are under their control. Or maybe they always were." She paused, a flash of anger and fear crossing her face. "We cannot trust anyone fully, not until we uncover the truth." James swallowed hard, trying to process the revelation. Then, "What do we do?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "How do we fight an enemy we cannot see?" Alara stepped closer, placing a hand on his chest, feeling his rapid heartbeat. "We prepare, we observe, and we wait for the right moment," she said. "And we use this," she gestured at the device, "not recklessly, but strategically, as our key to survival and victory." Suddenly, a distant sound echoed through the streets outside, low and metallic, the unmistakable hum of alien machines. James tensed. "They're coming," he muttered, gripping her hand tighter. "Ilara's eyes flashed with determination. "Let them come. We have the advantage if we remain calm, if we act with purpose," she said, pulling up a holographic projection from the device, revealing a network of tunnels and streets, patterns of enemy movement, their likely strategies. "This shows us their path, their numbers, their weak points." James leaned closer, studying the projections. "But how do we reach them? How do we fight without being overwhelmed?" he asked, the fear in his voice barely hidden. Ilara pointed to a series of hidden corridors. "We lure them into traps, into areas where we have control, where we can strike and retreat, where they cannot adapt as quickly," she explained, her mind working faster than ever. "But we must move carefully. One wrong step, and they could destroy everything." James nodded, determination hardening in his chest. "Then we do it together, Alara, step by step, no mistakes," he said. The storm outside a reminder of the chaos they faced as they prepared. Their strategy, a sudden flash of light illuminated the room, and the faintest whisper of a voice echoed, familiar yet chilling, Elara. James. Both of them froze, hearts racing, the voice carrying a tone that was almost human, almost friendly, yet twisted with something unnatural. James whispered, "Who is that?" he asked, fear creeping into his voice. Elara's eyes narrowed, her fingers trembling slightly over the device. "It is them. The one I warned you about, the enemy within," she said, her voice low and urgent. "They are trying to manipulate us, to break our trust, to turn us against each other." The voice came again, stronger this time, mocking and cruel. "You cannot hide, Elara. You cannot save him either." James felt a surge of anger, stepping forward. "Show yourself," he shouted, his voice echoing in the chamber. "We are not afraid of you." The shadows in the room shifted, the air vibrating as if responding to his challenge, and a figure began to emerge. Half in light, half in darkness, humanoid yet alien. Familiar yet terrifying. Elara's hand gripped James's. "Stay close. Do not trust what you see," she warned, her eyes burning with intensity. "This is not real. They are projecting fear, doubt, everything they want us to feel." James nodded, trying to steady his breath, feeling the weight of the moment. The enemy no longer just outside, but inside. Testing their minds, their courage, their bond, the figure moved closer. Steps silent, eyes glowing. James realized that every instinct he had, every fear, was being used against them. Yet he also felt Elara's strength, her presence anchoring him, giving him clarity amidst the manipulation. Elara raised her hand, the device glowing brighter, energy pulsing through the room. "This ends now," she said, her voice fierce. "We will not be controlled. We will not be broken." A surge of light exploded from the device, pushing back the shadows, the figure shrieking as it dissolved into fragments of light. Leaving the room eerily silent, James exhaled, relief washing over him, yet he knew the fight was far from over. Was that the enemy? He asked, heart still racing. Elara nodded, her eyes tired but resolute. "Part of it. But the threat is everywhere, in the world, in the people we meet, in ourselves," she said. "We must stay vigilant, James, more than ever, because the enemy within is just as deadly as the one outside." They stood together, hands still joined, breathing in the quiet after the storm, knowing that the coming days would test their courage, their trust, and their very survival. And in that silence, a new determination grew between them, a bond forged in fear, danger, and hope, ready to face whatever the enemy within and without would throw at them next. The sky above the city burned with red and orange light as dawn broke, streaks of fire cutting through the clouds. James and Elara stood atop the highest rooftop, overlooking the streets below. The storm had passed, but the world felt more dangerous than ever. "This is it," Elara said, her voice steady but soft. "The moment we decide everything, the moment they either fall, or we do." She looked at James, her eyes filled with determination and trust. "Are you ready?" James nodded, gripping her hand tightly. "I am ready, Elara. Whatever it takes, we finish this together," he said, his jaw set, heart pounding. Every fear he had faced in the past days now replaced with courage. Below them, the alien forces moved like shadows, machines and altered beings blending with the city's ruins. Silent but deadly, their glowing eyes scanning, their sensors searching. Unaware of the trap James and Elara had prepared, Elara activated the device, its light expanding, forming a shield around the rooftop, the hum vibrating in the air, creating a barrier that distorted reality for the enemies below. James marveled at its power, knowing this was the culmination of everything they had fought for. "They won't know what hit them," Ilara said, a small smile touching her lips. "We make them follow the path we choose. And then we strike." James looked down at the streets, calculating, his mind racing. "We hit the leader first, the one controlling the rest, and the army will collapse," he said, pointing at a massive armored figure glowing with energy. Moving through the chaos with precision and command, Ilara nodded, adjusting the device. "Yes. And the rest will be easier once it falls. But we must be careful. It will sense danger," she warned, her hand hovering over the console, ready to unleash the energy when the moment came. Together, they descended through hidden corridors, shadows hiding them as they approached the enemy leader. James felt the tension in every step, the weight of responsibility, the knowledge that failure meant death, not just for them, but for countless others. As they entered the final chamber, the air thick with energy, the leader turned, its glowing eyes locking on them, a mixture of recognition and malice. "You dare challenge me?" It hissed, its voice vibrating like metal scraping metal. James stepped forward. "We do not dare. We act. And we end this now," he said, his voice firm. Every ounce of fear replaced with resolve, Ilara activated the device, energy rippling outward, distorting the room, creating illusions, confusing the enemy. "Now, James." She shouted, and he lunged, dodging attacks, moving with precision. Striking at the weak points they had studied for days, the leader roared, energy crackling around its body. But James and Ilara moved in perfect synchrony, a team forged through fear, trust, and shared struggle. James aimed for the core, the glowing part that powered the leader, while Ilara manipulated the device. Amplifying his attack, time seemed to slow, the chamber shaking, light and shadow clashing in a storm of energy. James landed a critical strike, the leader stumbling, its control over the army faltering, energy surging wildly, machines collapsing, altered beings frozen or fleeing. Ilara stepped forward, placing her hands on the device, channeling all its power, her eyes glowing with determination. "This ends now," she shouted, and a wave of light exploded outward, engulfing the leader and the remaining forces, disintegrating them into fragments of energy. James fell to his knees, breathing heavily, looking at Ilara, her hands trembling, but her eyes shining with relief and triumph. The chamber quiet now, the threat finally ended. The world saved from destruction. Ilara collapsed beside him, a laugh escaping her lips mingled with tears. "We did it. James, we actually did it," she whispered, her body shaking from exhaustion, from relief. From the weight lifted at last, James reached for her, holding her close. "I knew we could. Together," he said, feeling the warmth of her presence. The bond they had forged, stronger than fear, stronger than death itself. Outside, the sun rose fully, painting the city in golden light. Ruins glimmering like stars. A new day beginning, free from the shadow of alien domination. Ilara looked at the horizon, a soft smile forming. "This is our world now, and we get to live in it, finally free," she said, her voice full of hope. James nodded, glancing at her. "And we will protect it. Together," he said. And for the first time in days, weeks, maybe months, there was peace. A quiet that felt like victory as they walked out into the city. Hand in hand, every step a promise, every glance a silent bond. They knew that the memories of battle, of fear, of secrets, would stay with them, but so would the triumph, the trust. The connection that had grown unbreakable through fire and shadow. And when they reached the central square, a gentle wind carrying the scent of rain-soaked earth, Ilara turned to James, her eyes shining. "Whatever comes next, we face it together," she said. James smiled, squeezing her hand. "Always," he replied, "and together." They stepped into the new dawn, alive, victorious, and ready for whatever the universe might throw at them next.